Amy, so I've updated my list, Amy.
Okay.
On Tuesday, which is tomorrow, it's not so much that I'm voting for Donald Trump, but that I'm voting against those individuals and those occurrences that have degraded American culture. You ready for my list? This is with some help from our dutiful listeners.
Okay.
All right.
And I helped you with one name.
You did.
Such a help.
Cecile Richards, David Brooks, Lindsey Graham, Surrender First Republicans, Predatory Leftists, Colin Kaepernick, John Koskinen, Lois Lerner, LeBron James, Islamic Theocrats, Zeke Emanuel, Jonathan Gruber, Jay-Z, Cher, The View, The Chew, The Oxygen Channel, Safe Spaces, Trigger Warnings, Bigot Baiting, Katy Perry, Bob Creamer, Gloria Allred, Wall Street Rent Seekers, Sid Blumenthal, Political Ruling Class, Teachers Unions, Government Workers Unions, Rachel Dolezal, George Clooney, Father John Jenkins, Howard Schultz, Mark Kirk, ESPN, Glenn Beck, Alec Baldwin, Michael Bloomberg, Jorge Ramos, Illegal Alien Predators, Men Who Wear Mom Jeans, Man Buns, Lena Dunham, Tiny Dancer Rom, Gun Banners, Mark Cuban, Suburban Sophisticated Barbarians, Pseudo-Intellectual Urban Dwellers, the Gender-Neutral, Gender-Obsessed, Entitled Millennials, Entitled Baby Boomers, Howard Zinn's History of the United States, Bernie Sanders' Vision for the United States, those who use the vocabulary of America's enemies, Silicon Valley sissies, Dudes in the Ladies' Room, and last but not least, Robbie Mook.
Mook.
All right.
Are you okay over there?
That's a mouthful. Taking your calls and texts, we'll continue to add to the list of people you're voting against by voting for Donald Trump tomorrow. That's what I'm doing. Now, for perhaps a more positive vision for a Trump vote and a Trump presidency, we're pleased to be joined by Trump surrogate and chairman of the American Conservative Union, as well as a former deputy assistant to President George W. Bush. He is Matt Schlapp. Matt, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Great to be with you, Dan and Amy.
So Trump made his closing argument over the weekend, in part, this RNC address we played a snippet of, saying it's time to close the book on the Clintons and open the book to a more prosperous America that is youth-centered rather than government-centered, essentially was what he was saying. Is that the argument that we're going to go with for the last 24 hours, or does the Comey announcement yesterday change that at all?
No, I think it's the right close. I mean, I think the Comey announcement is that it's a big question mark and a head-scratcher to most of us. The whole process of Hillary Clinton's criminal investigations by the FBI is a big question mark. In every other case you could ever imagine, you would have had a special counsel. You mentioned I served for President George W. Bush. When there was a question about the leak of the name of Valerie Plame, there was a special counsel, and that special counsel was dogged, and that special counsel was very independent. And the problem with Loretta Lynch meeting with Bill Clinton on the tarmac and all these other questions and the crazy back and forth in these FBI announcements is I actually think it raises more questions than it answers, and it gets to the fundamental question, which is with the Clintons, it's just they roll one way. You get corruption, you get a second set of rules, you get scandals, you get these investigations. And if the American people want to go through 4 years of this, vote for it, because it's what you're going to get. It's what you always get.
So if you want to deliver justice to Hillary Clinton, you should do it at the ballot box.
I think so. Look, first of all, that is the right first way to do it with politicians. If you don't like their act and you think they have bad ethics, don't vote for them. Of course, if they commit criminal wrongdoing, we should expect it to be investigated. But it's clear that they just don't intend to do that in this case, and I hope there's an outrage about it. But I think there's plenty more to vote against Hillary Clinton on as well. Just the clear fact that we have to change the way business is done in Washington, and we have to change the direction of the nation. And she represents the continuation of these Obama policies. If you like what you've gotten from Obama, if you like Obamacare, vote for Hillary Clinton, because you're going to get 4 more years of it.
So we're going to see tomorrow if the revolt that has been much talked about, pieces from the Flight 93 election to the bigot baiting piece from Rusty Reno, if people, particularly in the Rust Belt, really have inculcated the war on them that is being waged by the predatory left, by the big government left, or if people are inclined to kind of sit back and take it. Isn't this choice, however imperfect it is, kind of a proxy for that choice?
Yeah, the choice is imperfect, but one of the reasons the choice is imperfect is because the choice is a statement of revolt, and that we are revolted by the state of things in Washington. And I think that when you have this kind of uprising of Americans saying, I just don't like the state of things. I don't like where our country is vis-a-vis the globe. I don't like the fact that we're not feared internationally by our enemies, and I don't like the fact that people haven't seen their incomes rise. They don't feel like they have economic prospects, and even on questions like health care, you see them going up double digits and doubled. So I think that there is so much political churn out there. I think there's political realignment going on. It's messy. I think the Democrats almost faced it as well, except for their insurance policy of superdelegates. And I just think this election we sometimes make things more complicated than they are. I think this election really does come down to something very basic. Do you like the way it's going? If you do, vote to continue it.
So if Trump loses, do you say that as the narrow majority of Americans say they like the way things are going, or is it something else?
I think if Trump loses, it is probably more a result of the fact that it took him too long to get his campaign kind of screwed together correctly and to get on message. I mean, you just said his message, but I think it's so right. It's not so much about Donald Trump anymore as it is about all these other people out there across the country who have rallied to his cause. He even says in his speeches now, it's not about me, it's about you. It always was that way, but when he talked, oftentimes it seems more about him. And but if he wins, I also think it is not so much an endorsement of all things Trump. I think it is an endorsement of the fact that the American people are just not going to take this anymore, and they're not going to take this direction anymore. And they want the government to do less, and they want to feel empowered again, and they want their Constitution to be respected, and they want to be respected. I do think either one of these presidents, if either wins, it is a little bit messy. It's one of the messiest political times I've ever seen.
Are you fearful that there might be some civil unrest or disobedience if Hillary wins or if Trump wins?
Boy, that's a great question. When you have so much anxiety out there, I'm sure there will be. I hope there isn't. I hope that we can get a fairly quick answer as to who's the winner, and then we can all, hold hands and move forward. But this isn't really a hold hands moment. This is there's a lot of frustration out there. I can't do a television interview anymore without literally in the first 30 seconds being called a bigot or a racist. I mean, that is so painful. I mean, I'd rather be called fat or stupid or, a Michigan fan. I mean, I can think of a lot of other things that I'd rather be called than being called a racist. It is the most repugnant thing. It really puts you back on your heels and we cheapen the word. What's going to happen when there really are racist policies and racist people? It's like the boy who called wolf. Eventually the wolf comes and no one thinks the wolf is there.
All right, we're talking to fat, stupid Michigan fan, Matt Schlapp, chairman of the American Conservative Union. Matt, let me ask you this. With respect to the outcome and all this talk about division, we're just talking about this. Andrew Ferguson writes in the Weekly Standard, politics is a bit divisive because you have different visions for the direction of a free society. So the idea, we did have a civil war over different visions. We've had real divisiveness previously, like where people were killing each other. And we have some of that now, frankly. It's a bit different, of course. But there is a divisiveness to politics because there are competing ideas. People have very different notions about how a free society should be governed and who's entitled to what to the extent they're entitled to anything. So all of this, kind of kumbaya stuff is a little bit purposely Pollyannish, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. Look, I would rather just expose our differences instead of wallpaper over them.
Yeah.
I'd like to know what they are, and I think this is one of the great benefits Donald Trump has brought to our politics, which is he is willing to talk about things that most Republicans would never talk about. When a Republican gets called a bigot or a racist, we usually recede because it is just shocking, and we almost feel bad about the fact that we haven't always been perfect. But the fact is we have actually a great history on the question of race in our society. And you're right, when we've had racial divisions in the past, when Republicans were leading the country, we passed 3 amendments to the Constitution. We did it the honest way. We changed the Constitution to give former slaves rights, to give them citizenship, to let them vote. we're not the party to try to prevent them from voting. And when it comes to these other questions about how Republicans don't care about people simply because they don't view government as the solution, that's important as well, that people understand that we do care, and that just because we have a constitutional understanding of the role of government doesn't mean that we don't care about people. And it's time to hit these head on instead of kind of getting back on our feet, on the back of our heels, and putting around these issues.
Absolutely. We should lean into it. I mean, how ironic is it that the party that championed the 1964 Civil Rights Act, the Republican Party, and fast forward 52 years, and Barack Obama is on some Latino digital channel championing the idea that illegals should vote without repercussion, thereby disenfranchising Black American citizens like any other American citizen.
Wow, Dan, that's so well said. And it's amazing to me what the president does in interviews like that is he makes the chances for a consensus on immigration even less likely. When this is the tack they take, they make consensus less likely. Obama has done nothing but really make us more discordant. If you think about it, after 8 years of Obama, we've never been politically at each other's throats as much as we are today.
All right, he is Matt Schlapp, chairman of the American Conservative Union, former deputy assistant to President George W. Bush, and a Trump surrogate. Matt, thanks so much for joining us. Good luck tomorrow.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks, Amy. Y'all make sure you vote.
Okay, we
All
will.
right, remember that, Amy.
Okay. And he joined us at our turnkey.pro answer line.